This is the Media in Mind with your host K.W.H. Dare to see the gray. This is episode 9, Trump's hijacked golden age, Fake Patriot President, part 2. Okay, number 5, Trump supports 5G even up to 6G more in the future. In his first term, he massively pushed for 5G rollout. Yeah, so this is really bad. And this is, this is to build the infrastructure for the AI and the AI takeover. So, and then surveillance grid. I don't know. Actually, well, I can't. That one goes on for 28 minutes, so you can watch that on that website. But yeah, he says that I support the 5G and even up to 6G or and I think he says even 7G or something or whatever the hell it is. So yeah, he's a big big for that there. Yeah, Trump supports smart cities, which he cleverly calls freedom cities. So it's the same thing as the Democrats and Elon Musk, just different names.
Past generations of Americans pursued big dreams and daring projects that once seemed absolutely impossible. They pushed across an unsettled continent and built new cities in the wild frontier. They transformed American life with the interstate highway system. Magnificent it was. And they launched a vast network of satellites into orbit all around the earth. But today, our country has lost its boldness. Under my leadership, we will get it back in a very big way. If you look at just 3 years ago, what we were doing was unthinkable. How good it was, how great it was for our country. Our objective will be a quantum leap in the American standard of living. That's what will happen. Here are just a few of the ways we can do it. Almost 1/3 of the landmass of the United States is owned by the federal government, with just a very, very small portion of that land, just a fraction, 1/2 of 1%. Would you believe that? We should hold a contest to charter up to 10 new cities and award them to the best proposals for development. In other words, we'll actually build new cities in our country again. These freedom cities will reopen the frontier, reignite American imagination, and give hundreds of thousands of young people and other people, all hardworking families, a new shot at home ownership and, in fact, the American dream. Another big opportunity is in transportation. Dozens of major companies in the United States and China are racing to develop vertical takeoff and landing vehicles for families and individuals. Just as the United States led the automotive revolution.
But to get that, you will have to sell your rights out and be part of the the digital ID and all that and the surveillance system. So so you're going to trade a lot for that. And really, I don't think you probably won't get the flying car. The elites will probably be the only ones with flying car, and you won't be able to go after outside a 15-mile radius outside the smart cities. So you'll just be stuck in there forever. So that's going to be a nightmare. It's a shame that maybe it could have been done without violating your rights, but or maybe maybe we can hijack that in the future, and they might build them, and then we just take them over, and don't take away the rights. So that might backfire on them, but we'll see. So, but yeah, you get the idea with that one. Okay, yeah. So this is something I predicted um, that go along with Elon Musk and him joining to build the AI infrastructure. So number 7, Trump supports transhumanist and scam artist Elon Musk. Trump in the last year has joined forces with transhumanist Elon Musk. Elon Musk is part of the fake green movement and CO2 climate change scam. He gets huge grants from the US government to do their bidding. He pushes for brain chips in humans and other concerning agendas. Elon Musk also voted for Joe Biden in 2020. Yeah, so I took a screenshot of that too. Well, I reluctantly voted for Joe Biden. It's like he voted for a fucking pedophile. And now Trump is allegedly one now too. So they're both, but he knew about that, so he's a opportunist, a chameleon, flip flopper. That's what he does. anyways, Trump is a puppet for Israel. So I was talking about this before, that blew up this year about the Israel stuff. Well, I've been against Israel for, I don't know, since I was a kid, probably like 20 years old. I learned about the dual citizenship and the congressmen and all the our fucking money going there, and so I've always been against that. So yeah, this is him kissing the wall. I'm sure people see it, which just view as treachery here, you know.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
There's Jared Kushner, that little snake. Eh. Yeah, this should have been like the first sign that this guy was a scumbag. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah, nine. Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, worked for George Soros' Open World Society. That's the little elephant hidden in the room there, you know. So, why the hell, if George Soros was such an enemy to Trump, then why would he have his son-in-law that directly worked for him in his in the White House? So in Trump's first term, he brought in his son-in-law Jared Kushner into his cabinet. Kushner worked for billionaire George, so his conflict of interest. Yeah. So and yeah, this angered me. He refused to pardon Julian Assange when he left office in 2021, and then instead and then and then he just like let and he didn't pardon um well, he pardoned a lot of shady people. I don't remember exactly who they are, but they were basically criminals. So they got the pardon um instead of Julian Assange that actually deserved it. Number 11, Trump's cabinet picks are full of globalists. Yeah, Goldman Sachs, Peter Thiel, Bill Barr. Yeah, he worked for Bush Sr. Now we know Bill Barr was involved with Epstein too. So there's that. Peter Thiel, he's involved with the Palantir thing and he's funding JD Vance. So that's really bad. So that's that. Um, yeah, I think we were talking about this in the book quotes in my book. Trump supported stop and frisk in New York and Chicago when he was running for president too. I think he supported police randomly searching anyway for drugs, even without probable cause, which violates the Constitution. So yeah, that's illegal. Illegal search and seizures. That's violates that. Yeah, we'll play that. I won't play all of them, but
Once
this one.
again, Chicago's soaring murder rate is on the mind of President-elect Donald Trump. CBS 2's Jim Williams is here, and Jim, he suggested the federal government might need to step in.
And in that same tweet, Erica, the president-elect took a swipe at Mayor Rahm Emanuel, suggesting he's not getting the job done. Chicago murder rate is record-setting 4,331 shooting victims with 762 murders in 2016. If mayor can't do it, he must ask for federal help. So we wonder, what could the Trump administration do to curb Chicago's violent crime? The staggering increase in murders and shootings this past year has torn apart families and embarrassed Chicago across the nation.
We need law and order.
During the presidential campaign, Donald Trump repeatedly cited Chicago's violent crime and offered a solution.
In a place like Chicago, you do stop and frisk, which worked very well.
Yeah.
Mayor Giuliani is here. It worked very well in New York. It brought the crime rate way down.
But the effectiveness of stop and frisk in New York has been disputed, and a judge ruled the way it was done there unconstitutional. CBS 2 legal analyst Irv Miller.
But she was right on that. It is unconstitutional, so that was bullshit. Okay, probably the biggest betrayal here was 13 supported lockdown and COVID-19 gene therapy injections. It's actually not a vaccine. I always make sure I say gene therapy injection, which actually reminds me of that. I don't know if people are successful with that, but some people are saying that might have been where the vaccine companies screwed up because they called it a vaccine and it was really a gene therapy injection. So maybe they could get sued. They're not covered over that. I would like people to look into that because that would be pretty funny if they slipped on that and they got sued for that. But anyways, um, Trump's biggest crime is mostly going along with the COVID-19 lockdown, which was strongly pushed by the Rockefeller Foundation, parading around with a mask and supporting Big Pharma Operation Warp Speed, then playing games but not firing Fauci. To this day, he still has not come out against the gene therapy injection and brags about how good it was. He also did not stop the 6 foot rule to vote in 2000 that partially allowed Biden to steal the election. Yeah. And that's what, and a lot of it, we were telling him that. A lot of people were saying, like, you got to stop. You can't have the election with the 6 feet rule because you can't verify the signatures. And, and he ignored us. So I really think it's just on purpose, like all of this was, I don't think he really, we're going to get that later, but I don't think he wanted to lose it, let Biden in so people would forget what he did, with the lockdowns, and people have short-term memory. So, that they would just like, and a lot of them did, they actually thought that Biden was the one that, locked it down, and that he was the only one that did it. So they were both responsible for it. Biden definitely, he mandated it, like he did made it worse, but Trump did start it. So yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll play that real quick. I don't. Yeah.
Got to make sure you got the right stuff coming in. So it's amazing. Yeah, this is moving us forward.
Trader,
We like using these things.
So that used to be done by hand, right?
Yeah, they'd have to do all that oil. Yeah.
We will achieve a victory over the virus by unleashing America's scientific genius, which is what it is. I'm therefore proud to announce that this morning, the Moderna vaccine has officially entered phase 3 already, and that's phase 3 clinical trials, the final stage before approval. Under Operation Warp Speed, we've shaved.
Yeah, and these gene therapy injections, they never never passed animal studies. They were rushed. It was really sloppy. So it's really traitorous that he did this.
Years off of the time that it takes to develop a vaccine, in some cases many years, and we've done it while maintaining the FDA gold standard for safety. 4 additional promising candidates are expected to enter final trials in the coming weeks, including the Novavax vaccine being developed right here at this facility. It's an incredible.
So yeah, we know, I'm sure people follow that's old news, but yeah, I just wanted to show that. Okay, yeah, and here's Trump wants to give more power to police, which he certainly has done, and it's pretty scary. I mean, he's just making it illegal to be homeless, and then I don't know, I heard like some of the National Guard, they just basically just bulldozed a whole homeless encampment, and I think they didn't even know if people were in there. They think some people got killed in there. I mean, it's just really, it's really looking kind of like a police state. So I don't know how long this one is. So. Watch some of it.
You're a good-looking guy. Look at that guy. Looks like a banker from Wall Street.
I love that.
See, I'm an old man, and I have grandchildren that I want to see taken care of. Right. And I love them, and I want them to know that they can have the same life that I have. We're going to make sure that they have the same. I can just see how incredible you are by the emotion of that and the way you asked the question. We're going to make sure they have the same life that you had or better. We're going to make it safe. We have to give authority back to law enforcement so they can properly protect people. Because right now, the law enforcement is not allowed to do their job because crime is so bad. Crime is so bad in the cities, and one of the things I said is we're giving immunity. We're going to guarantee people. They lose a law enforcement person. They go and stop people from robbing stores. You go to some of these department stores where 500 people walk into the stores. They walk out with air conditioning. They strip the whole store. The company goes out of business. The store is vacant for 25 years. The whole city becomes a slum. And if you do anything as a law enforcement person, they take away your house, they take away your family, they take away your pension. We're going to make it so that we're going to give them essentially immunity. We're going to make it that they are not going to be losing their pensions.
Yeah, I mean, and some of that happens, like, the leftists go to extreme of that, but also it's going to get out of hand because, he's basically giving these guys immunities they'll basically do whatever they want. So that's not good, so they can just be tyrants either. So it has to be, it has to be investigated like case by case. You can't, but yeah, it's just not a good sign. All the stuff that he's doing, like, he's definitely, not a good, I doubt it. He's doing it for a good reason. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Okay, yeah. So this was absolutely disgusting because he pretended how much he like didn't hated Fauci and everybody told him please fire him. We were asking him over and over again. He ignored us. So this is what he does at the end of his term. He says, 15 signed an award for Fauci and refused to fire him. Before leaving office in 2021, Trump awarded Anthony Fauci a presidential commendation. Uh, he also after his supporters begged him to fire, but ignored them. Yeah, so I was saying. So yeah, that pretty much, I mean, it shows his true colors. Like all these people he claims he doesn't like, he lands up behind. He'll talk in front of your face, he doesn't like them, and then behind the scenes, you'll give him a little reward. So okay, this should be revealing that the two parties kind of work together. He donated to Kamala Harris's campaign in 2014. Trump donated $5,000 to Kamala Harris's attorney general. So yeah, campaign. Yeah, I think a lot of people know this. Pick JD Vance as VP was funded by multi-billionaire Peter Thiel, same guy who helped create massive surveillance system to spy on Americans in the Bush Jr. era, funded Trump's VP. So yeah, I mean, I was already not going to vote for him, and I didn't vote for him in 2020 either. But I was like, oh my God, like JD Vance, I didn't like right from the start because I was like, fuck that, like why the hell would you? That fucking just shows his true colors there. So yeah, and then here's something I've been kind of I we talked about last episode about about them trying to force the Christian nation on people again. So yeah, and people are they worship him like he's a prophet or something. So that was really concerning because that's against the First Amendment. Trying to push one religion on a country. Because if they want to practice it privately, in their churches, that's fine, but you're not going to force it down people's throats. So. Yeah, so Trump appears to be pushing for the return of the Christian nation, and many Christians believe he was sent from God to save them. While it's true America was mostly founded by Christians, the First Amendment clearly implies freedom of religion. And there are many radical Christian groups trying to violate and push one religion on the American public. And again, just to clarify, there are some Christian groups that are not, that they're private and they keep it to themselves, and I don't have a problem with them. So, but it's these radical ones that are a real problem, especially the Zionists, and they're kind of a perversion of Christianity anyway. So it's like, and then yeah, the 19 lied about being against MMR vaccines and flu shots. When Trump was running as a candidate in the 2016 election, he told people he didn't trust all vaccines. This statement brought a lot of independents and truth seekers out to vote for him. Later in 2019, he switched positions and even called for children in New York City to get MMR vaccine, doing the complete opposite of what he ran on. So yeah, just check that real quick.
Tell parents about getting their kids vaccinated. Measles. I'm the measles. Measles. Tell parents about vaccinating.
They have to get the shot. The vaccinations are so important. This is really going around now. They have to get their shot.
Have to get it.
Mr. President, how old is too old to be president?
Well, I think that I just feel like a young man. I'm so young. I can't believe it. I'm the youngest person. I am a young, vibrant man. I look at Joe. I don't know about him. I don't know. I would never say anyone's too old, but I know they're all making me.
Yeah, so he completely betrayed everybody on that one. So, when he originally ran, so yeah, so and then Okay, so in conclusion, this tactic was used to pacify the real independent patriot movement by planting a Rockefeller-backed independent, cloned fake patriot to bait them back into the two-party system, to also identify their enemies and track them so they could easily eliminate them in the future, to stop the well-needed Second American Revolution War that possibly would have reset and cleaned the state clean, the slate clean. They needed to buy time with Trump to put the final nail to the real truther movement and preserve the corrupt two-party system. Some people in the truther community cowardly call anyone who speaks about this as black pillars. They will go as far as shadow ban these people from speaking out on podcasts and mock them for simply speaking the truth. Many should not be put under this label because they don't shoot us to give up entirely, but only stop wasting time with the illusion of false hope. Our road is not the easy way out, but it's the road to true hope rather than false hope. So yeah, so because I'm one of the people that directly have suffered for this, for telling the truth about Trump and writing that in my book. I mean, I discussed that before, but I was basically I was blacklisted off, banned from Unslaved, which was really surprising, because I thought they were against the two-party system thing. And then and I and at Facebook, my posts have been kind of like shadow banned, and X is doing the same thing. So yeah, I have suffered for this for a long time, so I get kind of annoyed when new people that are just jumping on the bandwagon here that been pushing this guy for the last 5 years or 4 years, and then all of a sudden they just like MTG and Owen Schroyer, and then they just come in and they try to jump on our wagon, because it's popular now. I really can't stand people that just do it because it's popular. It's just like you got to do it. I believe with people when it's unpopular is when you should be doing it. It's not um, you're not just going around along with the crowd. So yeah, that really something that really annoyed me here. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna finish off the show. I'm just gonna show some of the um past screenshots from my old Facebook account about some of the predictions, show you like where I was at in around 2016 and that time around. So open that. Or no, I'm sorry, that's the wrong thing. Start from this one. Okay. So okay, yeah. So I scratched off my um this was my part of my real name. I had an account in 2016 that I deleted. These are just I backed it up to my computer, so I could view them in the browser. So these are just the old posts here. So here this is in February 2nd, 2016. So this goes to show that I was not tricked into him. Really, I wasn't thrilled with him. I like that Trump speaks his mind and agrees with most of his points, but I don't think he's the best candidate for these reasons. He's a warmonger and haven't heard his position stopping war on drugs. Good points against illegal immigration, against big banks, and talks against vaccines, especially giving multiple vaccine at kids too young. So yeah, I mean that was when he was running as a candidate. So and that changed. So let's see. Okay, yeah. And then this is May 6th, 2016. I just don't understand why people repeat the same ignorant decisions every 4 years. They know the establishment is corrupt. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the voting system is rigged since Bush. You want real change, get up off your asses and citizen arrest these congressmen. You cannot vote them out. We tried that since the 60s. A new pawn president won't be able to do this. Stop relying on someone else or Jesus to fix your problems. It's time to realize the voting system is rigged, and we are going to have to use a bit of grunt force to change anything. Hypothetical grunt force. I'm not talking about going out guns blazing for the White House. I'm talking about a non-violent citizen arrest, but with military and police support. There's plenty of people inside the system that are sickened by what they see in government. Many military and police have been calling into various independent radio stations. The support for this current establishment is declining every day. People now realizing these scumbags' real intentions and don't want to be part of their game anymore. Like the old saying goes, rip them from the inside out. So yeah, I wasn't really impressed with any of them in 2016. Okay, and I was going see I was going to Jill Stein at the time from the research. I didn't do all the research. It was until I found out worse things about her right before the election. So I didn't vote for her, but in the beginning I was thinking of I was going to vote for an independent like I always did for Ron Paul. I wasn't for the two parties, so I always was mostly independent. So Jill Stein's got my vote. I just read her proposals. Now this is August. This is before the election, so I didn't actually vote for her. Yeah. Just read her proposal. Anti-GMO. Two wants farms to hand over control on safety studies to independent companies that have no conflict of interest. Redoing vaccine studies without conflict of interest. So that's how she kind of hooked people. She was a lot for a lot of the good things we were for, but she was a snake too. But anyways, three wants to legalize marijuana. Four, get rid of the Federal Reserve. Yeah, see, Trump wouldn't even talk about that, so that's why I thought she was better at the time. Five, for the Constitution. Um, not voting for not voting for criminal Hillary and Trump is not. Oh yeah, not criminal. And Trump is not terrible, but picking globalist Pence, who is on the complete opposite on the issues Trump claims to be for, in my opinion, shows his true agenda. So even then, Pence, I was never. I always thought that guy was weird that he picked him. So I was very suspicious even back then. Okay. Yeah, just remember, I'm not for Trump either. I like to point out hypocrites from both sides. Yeah, so shows I wasn't. Yeah, this is where I was talking about how I didn't like his stop and frisk in New York. That one. So if you can, I mean, kind of. I was watching the debates tonight. I never was a Trump fan, but I thought he was better than Hillary. I have to point out something very alarming Trump supported during debates, and that's on gun control. He mentioned support and stop and frisk in New York. This was totally unconstitutional, especially for nonviolent cannabis users. Also, I've researched further. He supports a ban on assault weapons. Oh yeah, that's right. I still, of course, think Hillary is disgusting, but not voting for either one. This was November. This was actually right. This is what was getting real close to the end of the election. Or I mean, during the election, So whatever the outcome of the election, Hillary or Donald Trump, the people must reinstate the Constitution to make a mass citizen arrest on the criminals in D.C. and outside criminals like George Soros, Henry Kissinger, etc. We don't need to wait for a president to do this for us. Many military and police and government are disgusted with what's going on in DC and wants to stop it. They just need more support for the cause. Okay, and then this I don't think Trump was the absolute best candidate, but I'm very relieved Crooked Hillary didn't get in. And if nothing comes out Trump, I'm thankful comes out Trump. I'm not sure that I must have kind of messed up. But anyways, I'm thankful for the independent anti-establishment movement he awakened. At least with Trump, we may have a chance for real change. Hillary would have offered the same old corrupt system, no chance for change. I think it's ridiculous. People think the world's going to end because Trump was elected. Hillary being elected would have been the end of the world. I never heard him say anything against gays. He's not against blacks or legals. And people said, I just think the anti-Trump are going to be surprised how much good he might do when they see through the media's wrong perception towards Trump. That if that that is if he isn't assassinated like Kennedy. If he is assassinated, I will know for sure he was a real deal. We will see if he live up to what he preached. Please follow through and prosecute Hillary and scumbag George Soros. Please get rid of the GMOs and stricter regulations on vaccine makers. And please, Donald, just let the gays have their marriage rights. I haven't heard him talk against it. I just hope brings people together rather than divide them. Prove them wrong that you are a compassionate person. I really don't think he's going to start a witch hunt after gays or legal Latinos. So calm the fuck down already. Jesus, people give a guy a chance. So yeah. So and I didn't believe the fake assassination attempt. I thought that was complete bullshit. So he wasn't really assassinated. That was um he was actually dropped like it was last year. Yeah, last spring. Yeah, he was his poll numbers are going way down because he kept on saying supporting that. He kept on saying he supported the Operation Warp Speed and the vaccine. He's still saying it was good and everything. So some people are getting really pissed off. And he started dropping his polls started going down. And RFK was actually more up. People were actually more interested in him. And then all of a sudden, then they do the fake assassination attempt, and then his poll numbers go way up. So I think that was just a political stunt just to get because they were he was losing support. They had to gain support back. So yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, and this is like so after what happened was after I found out Jill Stein was she said well what she did right at the end is she said well she was for gun control, and she said, "Oh, the only thing left to do, you got to support Hillary." And then right at the end, she gave her like Bernie, she like bent over and told everybody to vote for Hillary, and I was like, "Oh, fuck you." So I was like, then I was like, you know what, fuck it, I mean, I don't like him that much. I'll just vote Trump for a wild card and see what he does. But yeah, I was still very suspicious. I didn't really like the stop and frisk and all that, but I think it was Hillary. It kind of, she was such a demon that I guess I just kind of I got a little bit pushed into it. But like I said, I still was suspicious. I do wish we had better pick of candidates for president this year. Fortunately, after researching every candidate, yes, even Bernie Sanders, I came to the conclusion Trump was the closest to supporting the Constitution. I was going to vote for Jill Stein, but she was for gun control and carbon tax scam. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, she was a CO2. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, which is against the Constitution and quite frankly dangerous. Sorry, don't want to be like North Korea. Bernie Sanders also pushed for gun control and supported suing gun manufacturers. Yeah, that was such bullshit. It was like even if the gun was working properly, if just somebody took the gun and shot somebody, they were going to try to. Bernie was trying to go along with suing the gun manufacturer. I was like, screw that. That's fucking ridiculous. He also supported the carbon tax scam. I more voted for Trump to send a big fuck you to plastic wrap politics we had to swallow for 16 years. The good news is Trump actually has more real liberal views than most people think. I believe he's tricked everyone by running as Republican, just like Ron Paul did. If this was his tactic, bravo for that. I always hated the two-party system and the fake plastic wrap speeches by Bush and Obama. I do hope he will not take this Keystone pipeline too far. It's no doubt contaminating our wells and destroying the environment. But unfortunately, we do have to become independent. So hopefully we can cut the oil companies out for good. But hope he pushes for clean technology, not because of CO2 scam, but because of toxins that destroy our bodies, mind, and drinking water. So yeah, because that's one thing why I wasn't supportive of him for a while. Um, I wasn't going to vote for him was because of the pipeline. I didn't, especially when I knew there was other alternatives, real alternate, not solar panels, but like hydrogen and magnetic and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, right. We don't need that. So just an asshole thing to go to the Indians' land. So let's see. Yeah, it was more stuff. I'm not gonna go over everything here. Yeah, this is where I was suspicious that I'm not liking the picks for his Fed. He also has not mentioned anything about auditing the Fed since he was a candidate last year. Cutting out the Federal Reserve is the only way to sever globalist control of the United States. If he's not willing to do this, he will be the same as Obama and Bush. So, like Ron Paul mentioned in this video, it's up to the states and the people to demand we go back to using precious metals like gold and silver. The Federal Reserve has too much power over the value of worthless paper money. Yeah. So yeah, that was another thing. I really did not like he wouldn't talk about the Federal Reserve. That's why at first I was more for Jill Stein until I found out more about because she actually mentioned the Federal Reserve. But yeah, but that was something I didn't like. Yeah, that was another thing. Yeah, yeah, that was bullshit. Oh yeah, this is 2018, and I was massively. This is another thing I was going against him on. Remember, I first went against him the Syria attack, but this is another thing. Trump signed the bill, but said never again. Really, Trump, there won't be a next time. I gave the guy a chance, but he's been making too many mistakes, surrounding himself with globalists and warmongers, supporting murderous genocide Israel. So this is back in 2018. We already knew. So these late bloomers, it's ridiculous. It's like what is like 7 years later, and now they're saying about it. Increasing age to 21 to own a firearm, banning bump stocks, dumping coal waste in rearways. Yeah, because he wouldn't do it the right way, like a fucking asshole. Building the pipeline and keeping that anti-pot Keebler elf Jeff Sessions. I mean, eventually fired him, but it took forever. So, and then he put that other asshole in. So, I'm going back to not voting for anyone. Fuck all the politicians, especially you corrupt, useless, lying sacks of shit Congress members. Yeah, I was like, that was pissed on that one. Uh, yeah, here's another thing. March 31st, 2018. I removed myself from all the Trump groups. You stabbed us all in the back, signed an ominous bill. I'll support some of the policies for protecting the Second Amendment rights, getting illegal immigrants out of the country, auditing the Federal Reserve, and funding the space program. I will not support socialist Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, etc. So don't anyone think for a second I'm going to be jumping to the other demons. I will not be supporting any of the liars, and I will not be voting, period, because of the CPACs are always stuck with two idiots. Trump was the lesser evil, and he did expose the mainstream media for the lying sex shit they are, but that's not good enough. He's half-assed the job. I only voted for him to prevent that evil demonic bitch Hillary from getting in. I have always been independent, and I plan to stay that way. You want real change, people get together and stop fighting with each other and do it yourselves like the forefathers did. Yeah, hypothetically there. Stop worshiping the idols. No one's going to save you, including Jesus. In fact, if he did come down, you should probably crucify him again, which is probably true. Yeah. Give that a warning to Jesus. Uh, yeah, that's just a side thing. Um, yeah, we covered that. Yeah, that's where telling them not to attack them. Yeah, and this is like where I really, sealed the deal. Trump is officially another Obama and Bush. The Syria attack last night will not be forgiven. My heart goes out to all the Russians and Syrians who died last night for pointless attacks. Also, fuck you, Bush supporter Mueller, for the anti-Russian McCarthyism propaganda you spewed over the fake Russian collusion BS. And also, F all your Democrats and Republicans that stayed silent about preventing attack in Syria. We'll be lucky if we don't get into World War III, which I'm very doubtful we won't get into because of these idiotic decisions. Yeah, so yeah, he was already starting shit, doing warmonger stuff in his first term. So people should have learned from that. So Okay, now the last thing we do is just show the future predictions. Okay, this is the last part here. So I'm just gonna go over some of the predictions of Trump on my new Facebook account. Between I think about probably about maybe 3 to 5 years on the new account because the old one I had closed down around I think it was 2018. I ended that the old one, deleted that. So now my current new one. I'm going to show some of the things that do seem to be coming true and some points here. So, but mainly the predictions and or or predictions that might come true in the future, ones that already have now. So we're going to do that. I'll share my screen here. So, so I searched a couple of key terms here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's not really an when you search a term here in Facebook, when you're searching your post, it doesn't put them in order like um from the earliest date to the latest date. It doesn't do that, so it's kind of all over here. But I'll get some that are key here. So okay, so yeah, this was in June 2nd here. Actually, let me just zoom in here. See better. Yeah, it's just like open the fake golden age. That was June 2nd, but we were talking about it way before that. Yeah, I'll read this one. This was January 22nd of this year. Don't be surprised if Trump and Elon Musk do start getting rid of minion politicians to further trick people that they're bringing in the golden age. It seems that the technocrats are sick of the banks and politicians controlling everything, but it won't be for our benefit. The technocrats want to be the new dictators. It seems that they have been fighting for power for a long time, possibly all the way back to Bertrand Russell, Aldous Huxley, and H.G. Wells' X group. Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of people know the technocrats family's been, they've been around for at least 100 years or more, and H.E. Wells and Bertrand Russell and all them, and they were part of that group, the earlier ones before, and then as you know, Elon Musk, his grandfather and his parents they were involved with Canada bringing it in. Um, so yeah, they've been trying to do this for a long time, but I think they're just slow boiling people into it. So, and there might be a little bit of a fight with the old system, like the old barons and and the banks and stuff with the technocrats. There might actually be a little bit of a disagreement there. Who's trying to fight for control for that? So that's what we're kind of saying here. But anyways, let me continue. They want to take over the banks and create the digital currency. The bankers are the old world order and possibly becoming obsolete. Remember the globalist families fight with each other for power, like the Rockefellers versus Rothschilds in the early 1900s. I've heard rumors that they may eventually get rid of the Congress and have AI decide all the decisions. It's possible that they already brought us to our knees with the COVID-19 scam. I thought for a while that they weren't done, that they would have to endure much more horrors before they would pretend to save the day, but I believe they have accelerated the arrival of the fake saviors. Biden made everyone miserable with the mask mandates, forced vaccination, inflated groceries prices, attacking children, trying to bring in World War III, etc. He was the bad guy that brought us to our knees, but now Trump, the guy playing the good guy, in the minds of many gullible people as a savior that will lead them into a hijacked golden age. He saves us from World War III, grooming kids, illegal immigrants, etc. Um, I believe we are possibly in Act Three. Alex Jones, ironically, who warned us of the fake saviors, is actually one himself. I mean, it's very possible, like so many others, that Jones and Rogan were groomed since the 1990s to lead the hijacked patriot movement, feed the slightly higher IQ people just enough of the truth to gain their trust, and when they had their fake patriot president, switch. That this is not the true golden age. Don't let these fake saviors pretend they brought it in. They deserve a special place in hell. We were warned about these people a long time ago and believe these are the most vile and insidious of our enemies. Think of them as like your fake friends stabbing you in the back. Don't let your guard down. Yeah, so okay, yeah, we'll talk about that. That's another one. That's more different type of prediction, not really with Trump. That was something else, so we'll get to that. Okay, here's yet some this kind of good post here. Oh, and this is a spoil alert too, if anybody's reading my book here. So, my book at Patriots Rebirth, which was published in 2021, portrayed the real golden age that was hijacked by MAGA. Trumpy, Muskrat, have you been stealing ideas from my book and perverting them? Harrison Winchester, the reincarnate of the main character in the book, wins the 2024 presidential election. And in 2025, he brings in the golden age by sending the Air Force and Special Ops to bomb the Federal Reserve, Rothschild mansions, and conducts mass arrests on the puppet masters. He abolishes all the alphabet agencies, income tax, property taxes, etc. He even suggested similar to what Musk proposed for Fort Knox to have the jets have cameras mounted to show the bombing of the Federal Reserve and the Rothschild mansions on live television for all the public to see. One of the most beautiful scenes in the book, in my opinion. Imagine the eye candy in the movie. Yeah, I would love. I'm sure it's not never going to happen until we get the new Republican get the censorship out of the movies. But yeah, I would love somebody to make a movie out of my book, and that would be a great scene. Like when my character, yeah, he becomes president, and he says, because he knows they're going to try to start a world war again, and the same thing with Civil War. Says so he says if you want war, it's going to be war on your doorstep. So he surprises them instead of going on with their crap and going on a world war. He actually bombs them directly, the instigator. So and then and then sends troops to arrest them and all that blah blah blah. So um yeah, he even broadcasts an educational program and all the crimes committed by the American government to educate and enrage the people to riot and rip the politicians to pieces on the streets. Instead of the Civil War fighting amongst each other that the elites wanted, the politicians' worst fear. My book accurately predicted that Kamala Harris would run for president. Okay, well, we'll go over that later. I'm gonna, uh, yeah, that's a whole different episode with the horror new Babylon. So, okay, yeah, yeah, it's just going on. I was just, it's March 22nd when the first Gaza attack that he approved. So yeah, I was just really angry about that. So and all his freaking I was talking about the executive. I think it was like January or February he started that, but yeah, I was really pissed off about that. I don't know why people waited so long for the Israel thing. Um, in the summer, everybody seemed to get more pissed off then, but it was going on, way before then. So yeah, so that's that. Yeah, so that's those posts. And then here's just a couple more here that we go through here. Oh yeah, this is kind of like Well, yeah, this is just basically about yeah, it basically, because like last yeah, in the spring, he was like, oh, we indicted, you know, Chuck Schumer, and then there was another person, and does anybody see Chuck Schumer in jail? No, I don't see him there, so he's still walking around. So I mean, so yeah, that's what I was kind of saying. Okay, yeah, here's a prediction here with Trump here that I strongly believe this is probably going to happen. I believe by the end of Trump's second term, he will crash the economy and bring in the CBDC. I do not believe the way Trump's conducting the tariffs was ever meant to repair the economy, but to only reset it. Instead of leaving a new tariff on a country for at least a couple months, he keeps on changing almost daily. If he did the tariffs correctly, yes, I believe it would work, but he is purposely conducting them chaotically to do the complete opposite. Yeah. So yeah, I had no problem with the principle of the tariffs if you do it correctly. But yeah, like just like this post said, but Trump purposely did it in a chaotic way and not to help the country. So I think and we can see now that grocery prices are ridiculous and prices still haven't gone down. So just the same. Oh yeah, and this is oh, it always annoys me too, like how and even like Owen Schroyer is still doing it too. Like he's a little bit more sneaky about it, but than Alex. But yeah, they'll make an insult, but they'll still say, well, I still like him though, and all this. So or no, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, they keep on saying, well, he's just getting bad. He's still getting bad advice. I mean, like who's advising him? Instead of just blaming the guy directly for it. I mean, if he's that retarded, he shouldn't be president. So it's just it's stupid. I seriously see that. So yeah, this is just about just about how the bullshit about making believe he's getting bad advice and not him just being evil. So I'm almost done here. So, there's probably more stuff, but we'll do that at different episodes. I don't want to drag this on here. Oh yeah, here's something I predict. I didn't trust RFK for a while. I mean, in the early like around 2016 to maybe around 2020, I was really into a lot of his research, Um, definitely was supportive of the anti-vaccine movement and everything. But when I started doing more research on RFK, I started getting suspicious. In his early days, he was really for the COVID. I mean, I'm sorry, the CO2 scam and all that. He was really for that, and I don't know. He was asked by a kind of question like if the Congress they suggested that um, like basically like red flag laws or control like gun control, would you do it? And he said, yeah, if Congress approved that. And I was thinking, well, the right answer would be no because it's against the Second Amendment. But so I don't know. It was like I was always suspicious of him. So and then I found out, later he had stocks in mRNA and there was some stuff in there. And then that there was also something with his wife. He she well he went along with it too, but um, she had a house party around the COVID thing, and she required everybody to be vaccinated to go to the party, and he kind of just went along with it. So that was another thing. But anyways, yeah. So do the Trump supporters even remember that Trump put RFK Jr. in charge of vaccine safety in his first term? Yeah. I didn't see any improvement in his first term, so why does anyone think anything will be different in the second term? It's very obvious Trump just used RFK Jr. to get elected, and I don't trust RFK for other reasons like his support for the fake climate change scam and his views on guns. I don't agree, obviously, with everything in this article, but the purpose is to remind people of what I said above. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I do believe he was considered. Okay, yeah, he was gonna pick him, and then I think maybe he didn't get confirmed in the first term to kind of correct that. But yeah, so but it's still like, what? Why didn't he make a big deal out of it in the first term, especially with all Trump acting like he was anti-vaccine? So like, why would he, like just just blow him off then, because like I do kind of remember something too, and I think we might have mentioned this on the last episode, but yeah, if anybody noticed, like last year, um, when Trump was continuing to support an Operation Warp Speed and the vaccines, he when he kept on pushing that even until last 2024, or even now too. People really like his poll numbers were going way down. He wasn't very high in the polls. Actually, RFK, he seemed to be higher, and people were more interested in voting for him. So I believe since Trump saw that, that's why he kind of said he was going to bring RFK into his administration and everything and all that. And then I think he was a little bit jealous of him too, in a way. And I think he knew people were more for RFK than him. So I think he just used him to get elected again. But they're both scumbags. I mean, like RFK allegedly seems like he's involved with Epstein too. So it's all blackmailed trash. So okay, yeah, I was real suspicious about Doge in the beginning, so I kind of made this prediction that it was all gonna go south. I didn't believe it. I was more like kind of like Operation Trust, to make believe they were doing something, but they're really just moving seats on the Titanic. So while I'm 100% of supportive Dodge auditing the alphabet agencies, I'm not getting too excited till I see these people behind bars. I still remember how Trump played games in his first term, but not arresting Hillary Clinton. I've been listening to David Knight lately, and he points out Doge is nothing new. Almost every president has pretended to use Doge to cut spending, but in the end, they still allow them to steal the money. What Knight and I are concerned about is it may very likely just be a dog and pony show to pacify the MAGA supporters. And like the past amends, they will just change the names of these agencies or move the fraud to another department. We are watching them very closely and not rushing to make any conclusions until the 2 to 4 years play out. It's also possible they might get rid of these agencies, but Elon Musk will make AI the new dictator to replace them. But I feel we might as well use Elon Musk to get rid of these agencies anyway, because they needed to go for a long time ago. But when Musk tries to become the new dictator, stomp on that little rat. Because I do very much believe Trump is playing what one of the fake saviors we were warned about. Yeah. So yeah, I do believe in the future, possibly. It might not be right away. None of these people will really get arrested for the any of the Epstein stuff, or child sex trafficking, but it'll be something else. I do think that if the technocrats get control, they will replace most all the even Congress with the AI, and that might not be popular with the old world system. So there might be a little bit of disagreement, but they're both still evil, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is another kind of thing that I didn't believe there was going to be any arrests. I agree. I don't think we're going to see any arrests, just like the first term. I mean, really, we got Gates still walking around freely planning the next pandemic, which he is. He's still around now. But instead of arresting him, or actually, I just heard Bill is sounds like he's planning another pandemic. So we got that. But instead of arresting him, Gates plays Trump plays Batman and Gates plays the Joker. Yeah, that's exactly. Batman never kills him, so Joker keeps on coming back to commit more crimes against humanity. this is looking like another dog and pony show, which we can see no arrests, so including the Epstein. That was even before the Epstein thing. Yeah, I know we'll probably get in this in there, but yeah, Tucker Carlson, he's a piece of crap. You know, he has a long history of being an asshole, a conspiracy theorist, and 9/11 inside. You know, people talk about 9/11 being an inside job in the early 2000s. So he's a late bloomer. Pisses me off. That's more about yeah, Kamala Harris. Okay, yeah. So this is like the last here. This was on March 11, 2023. Looks like my prediction others are coming to light regarding Trump being reelected in 2024 and bringing in the brave new world. Trump is known for building the largest casinos and hotels in the world and has hinted in his first term that he wanted to completely rebuild the infrastructure of America. I predict with the help of tech giants like Elon Musk, they will Trojan horse smart cities to the American public. Oh yeah, so yeah, this is before I believe before Elon Musk and Trump like got together. So I did kind of partially and others kind of partially predicted this. I believe Trump let Biden steal the presidency so Biden could politically take the heat for the lockdown and COVID-19 injections. I believe he wanted the public to forget he actually initiated it and allowed the lockdown to occur. In my mind and others, it was carefully politically calculated. The independents were the biggest threat to the system, and they knew they could not draw them in with another plastic wrap Democrat or Republican. So they cloned the movement and created Trump, the perfect Trojan horse. He will come back as the so-called savior in 2024. He will not have to be worried about re-election, and then he will show his true colors to the public by bringing the last piece to the formation of the NWO smart cities. Don't be fooled. Yeah. So yeah, he's so yeah, that's yeah, pretty much exactly what happened here. So yeah, so yeah, that's that's really like one of the biggest predictions there. You know, and of course all the other stuff in the book I predicted, wrote in the book and all the old posts from I think all the old posts, yeah, from this part two here, shows that yeah, me and others were way ahead of Owen Schroyer and Tucker Carlson and all these scumbags. So you know when it wasn't popular, so we just wanted to make so. Anyway, okay, so yeah, let me just gonna yeah, let's see show you how to support me here. Just go to kwholland.com. I'll just type something there. Okay, yeah, and then you can just go to books, and then I have the Patriots Rebirth unabridged edition and the abridged edition, and there's it's either in a paperback, ebook, and audiobook. Like I said, I'm still working on that. So, but yeah, you can just if you just click the link here, um, it will go to Amazon because right now it's really the only place I can sell it. I would like to. I do like in my local area. I do sell copies here. If you live close to me, you know, in a 20-mile radius, then you know I sell them physically here. But just because of the shipping, it's hard to compete with shipping cost and still make money on the book. So fortunately, I can't do it anywhere from Amazon. So I hopefully that changes. But yep. So all right, guys. Well, we'll see you next time.